Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today I wanted to talk about the boss event that got added to Darktide and wish everybody a Merry Claymas. I've been super busy catching up with family, and that's mostly thanks to all of you for changing my life in such a massive way over the past few months. Your generosity and kindness has just been absolutely insane. So honestly, just thank you so much. And this is the community Claymas card I make every year, so I hope you all have amazing holidays no matter what you celebrate. But for now, we're going to light this off with my experience that I've had with the Darktide boss event so far, because it's probably the most fun I've had on the game since it came out. Seeing everyone work together trying so hard to beat the twins on hard mode is really what it's all about, and it's the first time that I felt like Darktide really just brought a bunch of people together. The first night it was out, I basically just played it all night long, starting with a normal run that ended up turning into unlocking the secret hard mode, and then beating it with every character on Damnation hard mode. Was a sense of progression and fun I did not expect at this stage of the game. And it really makes me want to see Darktide do more things that force people to work together, and with the announcement of PvP testing for Vermintide, it has me really excited for what we'll see Darktide do next year. Even just going through the old map with the small changes to lighting and smoke changed the entire feeling of it for me. And it shows me that in the future, if they keep doing all these small changes with all the little attentions to like the smallest details, it'll help bring the maps I played like hundreds of times back to life. Just walking up to the new elevator area really passed the vibe check for me, and making it a loot room full of plasteel is something I always wanted from killing monstrosities when they break out of their little room. So this was really fun for me on the first playthrough because it's something that I've always wanted to see. And the boss room felt like it was straight out of like an old PS2 game, I guess is the best way that I could say it. Like it was just very nostalgic in a good way. And honestly, the entire fight feels pretty well done on normal and hard mode, but I did see some people saying they wanted hard mode nerfed. I don't think it needs any nerfs. It's honestly just as hard as you make it with the builds that you bring, and you should be trying to make a pre-made group before you go in, because the sense of progression of learning the fight and working together is the best part of the entire thing. The sense of accomplishment of just getting to the next phase with my friends and unlocking everything was just an amazing experience overall. And even just pugging it felt really cool, just working together with random people, and like it forced everyone to communicate in the first couple of days, and it's the most I've ever seen people communicate on Darktide. And for me, things that force you to work together are the most fun. And unlocking the hard mode by ringing all the bells felt like an old raid attunement. If you haven't done it yet, you have to ring each bell a certain amount of times, and an audio cue plays after you hit them if you hit them the right amount of times. 8. There it is. 9. Then once you've done all of them, you can fight the bosses on hard mode, and this was probably my favorite part of the entire thing. It was something I never really expected Darktide to do, but I really love that they did. And when you do beat them with the hard mode activated, you get special bells at the start of the mission that let you teleport to the bosses, but everyone has to do the same thing. So if everyone hits the left bell, it's easy mode, and if everyone hits the right bell, it's hard mode. The only thing I wish they did do was put the skip for Damnation into the org board. That way the quick play queue could get sorted out. That way the people that wanted to do just a normal Damnation playthrough for like the Plasteel and Diamantine could do the mission without the skip, and that way they didn't have to deal with the rest of us that would just want to do hard mode for fun. But if you haven't done the hard mode, I think you absolutely should, if not for the experience, just for the insignia rewards. These are all 3 of the different ones you get just for beating it, and I've been looking for better flair for my profiles, so I actually ended up really liking this, and I hope that the next thing they add are cosmetics, like for your profile borders or just weapon skins specific to beating bosses. But one of the coolest suggestions I saw was to have like a trophy of like the twins masks of a cosmetics hanging on your back. That way, instead of a backpack, you could have like a trophy spike or rope, and that way as they add more cool stuff like this with different rewards, you could choose which ones are on your back. And just the idea of that was so cool to me that I had to bring it up. But there is one big problem with the entire thing, and after talking to so many people that did it, and after doing it so many times myself, almost everyone had a ridiculous amount of input lag just in the boss missions, and sometimes this input delay or whatever this is was so bad that it became unplayable. And this was the main reason that I lost. Whenever I lost, it was somebody just completely lagging out, or like my character was unplayable. But it seems to be mostly isolated to the new map, and they did do a hard server reset the week that the bosses came out. So it doesn't happen all the time, but when it does, it's an absolute nightmare. But outside of the weird weapons working, I think the entire fight is really well done, and I just wanted to share my best tips for getting through it. Because after so many runs, the one thing that had the most impact was keeping 4 coherency. It changed pretty far, so with good positioning, it's pretty easy to keep all 4 stacks if everyone is paying attention to it. And this is also mainly an ad fight, so they are the highest priority. Taking them out fast is the best way to make sure nothing gets out of control, and it usually only takes one person focusing on it to take care of the entire wave. That way the other 3 people can just blow the boss's guts up like the 4th of July. On every kill that I had, it was super easy and smooth when we focus one of the bosses down, and just blowing them up makes it just the fight goes so smooth. Usually the long range one is the problem because they end up cutting off different parts of the room with the gas trap. So when they get removed, things just get so much easier. And that's another big part of the fight, is having good gas management. If you don't jump in and out of them quickly, they'll cause tons of problems by limiting your space. And they're so easy to remove that there's no real reason to leave them up. Just don't run through them without at least 10% movement speed and a slider. You probably won't be able to make it all the way through before they blow up. You can easily just step on it, step out, and that's it. There really isn't anything to it. And in the phase where you run back and forth between the lights, if you had bad gas management, you're probably just going to die when the zombies bog you down. And whenever I tried to do it without good horde and elite clear, this ended up being the part where I ended up seeing most of my team lose their HP to corruption, so it's really important to do it quickly and safely. And if you have to call out when to run, just do it. That way nobody gets left behind. And if someone gets left behind or bogged down, I found the best way to help them was just by shooting everything off of them. That way they don't get drowned in corruption. But if you do get drowned in corruption and you have less than 1 wound, use your med stim to make sure you have at least 1 wound, because with this skip, every single person gets a med stim for this every time that you do it. And it's really important to keep 1 wound just in case you go down, because if you die, you get sent to the noob room and you can't get rezzed back in the fight. So if you're gaming and you don't need your med stim, just juice a teammate up to save them. That way they don't get sent to the Shadow Realm, because working together as a team is probably the most important part of the entire fight. But if you're really struggling, the Twins' main damage taken is flak, so if you roll a perk over to that, you can just make the fight 25% faster. And if you're headshotting them, they do take carapace damage. I think that the gloves and legs were unarmored, but the main chest was flak too, so when they don't have a shield, you can just blow them up way faster. And if you just blow the bosses up, they really don't do anything. The ranged boss ends up taking more damage from melee attacks, and the melee boss takes more damage from range attacks. So really high damage to just spam them through the phases just makes the fight insanely easy. But if you have any tips that I missed or you think are really important, make sure you drop them down in the comments. That way we can help more people get the kills. And after beating it on hard mode with all 4 of my characters a few different times, my favorite build for the entire thing was Commissar Veteran. Every time I brought this, it felt like the game was just so much easier for me and my team. It's like my normal build, but instead I did swap a couple of minor things around to make sure that I had field in provisions, because the extra grenades and corruption healing makes this so much easier. Being able to take the ad waves out by yourself and let the team run across the gas for free is just too good to pass up, and having the extra brittleness from Onslaught really helps the team melt everything in the room. I've also seen some really strong builds with Focus Target that make the fight super smooth as well, so that's another option, but this is just the build that I used, and I think the easiest game I had was with 3 point blank Ogryns when I was playing my Commissar. Giving them 2 nukes each made the whole fight just a W key fiesta, and when I played mine, I could basically just solo kill down the bosses. Anytime you're getting pressed, you can just regen your toughness and make everything take more damage. Whenever things get out of control, you just throw your nuke, and then all the ad wave is just gone, and the fire damage just takes the bosses down so fast that it lets you ignore most of the mechanics of the fight. So anytime you get more than 1 point blank Ogryn, it just makes it so easy with the amount of DACA going out. And when I was on my Zealot, it was just a single target nuke. The new Eviscerator is great for ripping apart the bosses, but I was using the new Chain Axe, and I just used my normal crit build with Shield of Contempt to make sure that my teammates were nice and cozy. But if you notice your team is taking too much corruption, you could take Beacon of Purity. That can be super clutch for this. But outside of that, I just W keyed the bosses with my Zealot. But if you do want to do that massive burst, just activate your charge while you're revved up inside of the boss, and you're just going to tear them to pieces. But like usual, Psyker has to go last and has broken the minus $1,000 mark. It officially hit minus $1,036 the other night. So thank you so much for your generosity, and sorry to the Psyker mains. That's something that's been a meme on the channel for a while, where people donate money to put classes in certain orders, and Psyker just get paid to go last. So anyways, when I played this, I did as a support role to deal with all the ads in the room. It trivializes the entire fight. And if you set the shield up in the right spots, it basically removes the range boss from the fight altogether and lets you manage the gas grenades for free. If you just stay on top of it by yourself, your shields always get tons of value. And I think the only thing I would change up on my Psyker if I went back in would be to change the melee weapon up to a dueling sword, but there's tons of options. This is just what I used on stream and in pugs, and like usual, all my text guides are linked down below. These ones are updated to the new format, and the stream that I used all these builds in is timestamped as well if you just want to see how everything plays. And I'd love to hear your experience with the new bosses, but I know everyone's really busy, so if you're not doing that, let me know how your holidays are going. I know that everybody's so busy, but it's always just fun to see what everybody's up to. But I do know a lot of people in the community Discord came together to beat hard mode, so congrats to all of you. And again, I just want to thank you guys for all the love and support. I hope you all have a Merry Claymas. But that's going to be all for now, and I wish you the best of luck out there.